Have you ever thought about having a baby on your own? No partner, raise it yourself, you do all the work? Well, not many people have the courage, but our dreamer today does. And her dreams comment on her choice. What do you think those dreams say? Hello, and welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hello, welcome everybody. I am so excited you're here. Thank you, Michael, for the wake-up call. Woo! We're ready to go.
One of us is ready. There's another half hour of us eavesdropping on the very personal communication between the spirit world and souls on their earth journey, because that's what you are, a soul on your earth journey. And that's why we focus on dreams. If you want to know what you're meant to be doing in your life right now, at this very moment in time, then look no further than your dreams. We do lots of things, but the main thing that we do from your dreams is tell you what your amazing abilities are, what they would be if you developed them, and the bumps in life that are holding you back. But these bumps are not in the way, they are the way. They're meant to be the catalyst for your growth. And remember, we also have April Angel now answering dreams that you send into the show. So if it doesn't make it to the radio, it'll still get an answer, or a lot of them will get an answer, we should say. We never know how many we're going to get. But we endeavor to answer all of them for a period of time. So if you want to get your dream analyzed, send it to the show by going to dream-analysis.com/podcast, filling in the form there, or simply email radioshow@dream-analysis.com. Let's kick it off. Sandy, anything to say before we start?
Yes, I am so excited. Coming up on August 22nd, that's a Thursday, we have the Spiritual Dimension of Dreams. And this is a phenomenal course. This teaches you all about the different gifts and the symbols that you can see of the gifts that may be showing up in your dream and you don't even know it yet. Anyways, Michael, you want to go into more detail?
Yeah, it's definitely a favorite course among all the things that we do. You get a class where you're taught all this information, a workshop, very detailed, that covers 8 different gifts. But then you also get a private session where April will look at your dreams and tell you what gifts she sees in your dreams. So you don't have to try work it out yourself. That's all included in the price. Crazy low price of $97. I think it's super popular because of the price and because it is something that most people want to know about. What are my gifts? Please tell me. That's the course for you. And it also gives you a good sample of how we work in Ashling School. It's very high touch. We don't just teach you material and leave it all up to you. That doesn't happen on any of our courses. And this one is no different. Even though it's $97, you get white glove service on this because you get an expert looking at your dreams with you, telling you what they mean. All right,
it's exciting. And I'm excited that we're actually going to have that this month. It's coming up so quick.
Yeah, we used to run it a lot and we haven't run it for some time now. This is only the second time this year and probably the last time we're going to run it this year. I'm not sure. If you want to find out more about that course, go to dream-analysis.com/courses.
Yeah, we've been busy. Anyways, so excited to start diving into our dreams because it looks like we got some interesting ones this week. So our first dream is titled Marriages and Letting Go, and it's from Laura. My ex-husband was getting married. We said goodbye. He was irresponsible with the car, i.e. not putting the registration in his name properly, and our pet, i.e. he wasn't sure how he was going to take care of it. And I was trying to get everything done to make the break as clean as possible and part ways. I felt very sad and was grieving and told him so. My boss was getting married. He said he thought his wife was cuter than me, so he chose her. I leaned in close and told him I thought I was cuter than his wife. She was in her wedding gown, and they were at the altar, and we were whispering to each other. And I gave a quick hug goodbye, and it felt good to let that last dig in. Ha. I was walking home from all of this, and it was 9:58 p.m. I wanted to talk to my mom, and then she called in the dream. There you go, Michael.
All right.
There's a lot in that one.
So this is an interesting dream. Very straightforward. She's not over the breakup yet. Her herself and her husband, I think ex, they parted 2 years ago, maybe, if I'm remembering it right. But when we see it in the dream, like she's not over it. And you see that like he's irresponsible with the car, not putting the registration in his name. So it's like they're still tied together in some way. The breakup hasn't fully happened. The separation hasn't fully happened, at least in the dream. So irresponsible with the title of the car, and then how's he going to look after the pet? Will he take care of it? So that's just the reality of the situation. And then the next piece, it moves on, has her boss, name's taken out to protect the guilty. And he's basically a jerk to her. So putting her down, like who would say that to anybody? That's really rude, right? And so what's really good in this dream is that she comes back and doesn't let him put her down. So she's now at the stage of being over letting men put her down. So we do this if we're in a bad relationship. We put up with the issues, the put downs, the denigrating, the whatever that is going on, because we go, oh, okay, well, I'll get past this. We'll get past this. Things will get better. And they don't get better. And we, over time, put up with more and more and more and more instead of it improving. And so when we break from a relationship that's like that, we have to build ourselves back up. So here, this is really what the dream is. And it's good. She does that final piece with the, as she calls it, a dig in the dream. And then the last part, she's actually going to have a child on her own, and hats off to her. In fact, I thought I had another dream that we were going to start with that had that in today's cycle. But she's going to do this on her own. And a lot of people don't have the courage to do this, which is understandable. You know, they want to have a child, but they want a partner. And so she's going to have a child on her own. And that's what the last piece is about. I was walking home from all of this and it was 9:58. So time is late. I need to do this. I need to get on with this. So in terms of her age, it's like she's right there on the edge of, if I'm going to do it and I'm going to have a healthy child, I need to do it now. And she's doing the treatment. It's all going to start, I think, in November for her, which is great. And then we have her wanting to talk to her mom, and then her mom called her in the dream. So she wants to be a mom, and it has to be now. And any woman who gets pregnant or really focuses on having a child, their relationship with their own mom changes, because despite everything else that you've gone through with that woman, she is familiar with what you are now going through, and she's close and all the other things. And it often is a great time of healing in relationships. But that's what this dream is about. It's quite a nice dream.
It's quite an interesting dream. So what is the wedding gown? And at the altar, and then they were whispering. So
the put down is the boss. That's really the main part of this. She's still looking for a partner and was on that quest for some time. So I could be wrong with the 2 years thing. And she kind of has to let that go too. So that's part of the letting it go. Let go of my ex, let go of other men, let go of being put down by men. And you know, it's interesting. I've come across people who have had children and they don't have a partner. Like it never works out for them. It's not that they set out just and say, I'm going to have a child and raise it on my own, but that's what happens. And then they have another child. And so they're raising a family on their own. And when you tune into it, you see that that was their plan in life, that they wanted to see what it was like to go through life, raising children on their own without the negative influence, I'm saying negative on purpose, of a partner who wouldn't be supportive. And maybe that's what they've had before, and that's what they're trying to avoid. There are pros and cons, you know, to being a single parent. I went through that myself. But it depends on the type of relationship you're used to. It's very much a pro if you can let go of all of that and raise the child on your own and just basically do things the way you want.
oh, but what a challenge. I can't imagine raising a child on my own.
It's much better for the kids if they have both, but it's not good for kids if they have one parent who puts the other parent down. That teaches the children, basically sets a low bar that makes sure they will never have a good relationship till they work on the issues with the parent that is like that, which is kind of sad. We teach our children that the world is the way we are. And so if we're horrible in some way, or we put up with somebody's denigrating, then we teach our children that this is what you have to do. You have to sacrifice yourself in some way to be in a relationship. Anyway, let's look at the next one.
Yes, we're moving on. The next one is from Francine, and it's titled Hypermobile Joints and Restaurant Ordering. I was seeing a 10-year-old girl in clinic and explaining to the patient and her mom that hypermobile joints can sometimes lead to chronic pain, and the mom was flipping me off behind the patient's back so that the patient couldn't see her. Oh my goodness, this is crazy, Michael. It was done in a joking way, but was still very strange. I was teaching the patient about what movements were okay and not okay for her body in order to prevent problems. I was then at a meal with friends and we were attending the dream class. We were at a restaurant and ordering food at the same time. I was sitting next to a friend and she wanted me to order for her. I asked her to place the order with the waitress directly, and she did.
All right, there's a lot in this. I like the mix of things in this. First, the dreamer is a medical doctor. And we see that in the dream. We see healing in the dream because we have a waitress serving food and drink. But let's go back to the start. The 10-year-old girl in the clinic, well, the clinic setting is because she works in a clinic. But the 10-year-old girl is her at the age 10. And she's talking to the patient saying that this hypermobile joints can be an issue. Now, in a dream, our joints are about flexibility. Your knees and ankles and so on are all about flexibility, being flexible in life or being flexible with regard to whatever the subject matter of the dream is. And here we see the mom flipping her off behind her. So that says she paid a price for being too flexible. And she had to be flexible around mom at age 10. And mom didn't appreciate it. So that's the part that's sad. It's like, I'm not getting the love I need from mom. So I bend over backwards, super flexible, hyper flexible, in order to accommodate mom and get that love. But I still don't get it. Clearly, this mom is not painting a good picture in this dream. And mom didn't appreciate me being hyper flexible. So that's part of the heavy price. I lost some of myself by being that way, trying to get something that I never got anyway. And then she's explaining to the person, and this tells us that she wants people to take responsibility for their own healing. Now, that's good if you're a doctor, because that's what people should do. But take responsibility for your own healing. And we see that where she says, order your own food. So serving food and drink in a dream says you're a hands-on healer. You have a healing ability. And we often see people who are in the medical profession have healing abilities. That's what draws them to that profession in the first place. But telling somebody else to order their own is like, it would be, if you're a doctor, I imagine at a party, then you're going to have a long line of people who are telling you about ailments and complaints that they have and they want your advice on it. And it must be horrible. So it's kind of like, how do I hide? I need to wear a mask at these things. So I asked her about that and she said, no, she's no problem with that. She doesn't really bother her. She's okay. But she does agree that people should take responsibility for their own healing. And so here, this caused me to channel on it. And what the dream said is, yeah, that's fine. But she has to realize that there are cases where she has a karmic obligation to help friends heal. Now, this makes a lot of sense. If you have a healing ability, you don't have it by accident. You brought it with you in order to repay your karmic debts. And so the dream is reminding her, or at least the channeling on the dream, that she has to be careful, that she can't always push people away and say, do your own healing, because sometimes it's up to her to help that particular person. So do you have questions?
Wow, that was really good. So what about the flipping off behind the girl, the 10-year-old girl's back?
So anything behind you in a dream is the past. But we know the 10-year-old girl is the past anyway. So it's like, I did this in the past and mom didn't appreciate it. So this mom is totally unappreciative of the fact that the dreamer is explaining what needs to be done to the patient. And so that's how mom was in reality. Mom, I bent over backwards and mom didn't care. She was still that type of person.
Wow. And then the dream class.
Right. Okay. So yes, she has done our mentorship program. So yeah, that is interesting. It showed up in there. So we will always see some of reality in a dream. And we then need to look at it and go, do I need to interpret this piece of reality or do I skip it? And A lot of the time we skip it because it is just, we pull in the symbols of the day or the last few days to make the story of our dream. And so we tend to ignore the main things that are like everyday things, and we look for the differences. But sometimes the main, the everyday things also still count.
So the dream class is just an everyday thing there, Michael.
Well,
Checking in.
It's a really important thing. It's important in our life. It's an investment to do the mentorship program and study dreams and get all this understanding. And it's fantastic to see people with medical degrees doing the classes. In fact, in our last class, we had 3 medical doctors. So,
yeah,
a lot of people with deep skills are opening up to energy practices and new age practices and so on, which is good to see, because they can then pull it into their own field. Like, it's not going to be somebody from outside the medical profession that makes an inroad in the medical profession when it comes to the use of dreams to help with health diagnosis.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting, because I think dreams could help people a lot. I'm sure doctors have patients come in and go, I had this dream last night, blah, blah, blah. And if the doctor knows the symbols in the dream, it could really aid that doctor in helping diagnose what's going on for the patient.
Absolutely.
I think that's cool. All righty, moving on. The next one is called Precipice, Random Couples and Fires, and it's from Laura. I was standing on a precipice and getting ready for a big jump. I was out with people I don't recognize, but I guess they were friends. The man and woman were kissing at the bar and were happy to be together. This was the start of their new relationship together. I went to say hi to a friend who also had 2 other friends over, but I had to catch an Uber home, so only had a few minutes to chat. I was with friends in some type of science class. The professor spoke of experiments with fire, and my roommates kept trying them at home, and then I had to put the fires out. For example, I came home to find 2 roommates pontificating. One had an entire loaf of bread, still in the plastic, on a burner, and it was getting toasted and melted. Took it off the fire. Good grief. That's a crazy dream, Michael.
All right. So this is the same dreamer as our first dream. And I was saying, I thought I had this, but I put them out of order. Apologies for that. So we see right at the start, she's at a precipice, standing on a precipice and getting ready for a big jump. And the big jump is to have a child on her own. So we don't always have to see the thing in our dream, but like if I say, hey, what's the big leap you're taking? Like, that's it. That's huge. And then she's out with people she doesn't recognize, when you don't recognize people. So she said, there's this couple kissing at the bar, but she doesn't recognize them. That says, I have difficulty seeing myself in a new relationship. If they were people she knew, it's like, this is familiar to me, but it's not. So again, and this all fits, I couldn't find a life partner, so I'm going to do this on my own. The 2 things go interweave. And then she wants to chat with 2 other friends, but has to take an Uber home. Like, no, you don't. You're an adult. You can go anytime you want. She doesn't have any kids now. But wanting a life partner ruins social settings for her, really is, when I channeled on it, that's what it's saying. Because it's a big deal for her. And then she's with, so the fire. So lack of emotional control is damaging. That's really what it is. Fire symbols in dreams are all about the emotions. And so not controlling it, like she's having to put out these fires. But it also tells us that she has a problem with bread. She needs to avoid bread. It's kind of a mix of dreams, but I like it because of the jump, the leap of faith that's at the start. Mm-hmm. And we do have 3 dreams from this dreamer. We have this next dream as well. Do you have any questions on those pieces, or can we go straight into the next one?
Well, let's go into the next one because I'm concerned about time.
All right. So we're going to read it in its entirety. Like I said, same dreamer, but we don't really need to interpret much of it. She was recently at a retreat. So I was talking about, we sometimes ignore what was going on. That's just used as the backdrop for the other symbols that are going to be important. So recently at a retreat, so we ignore those references. Instead, knowing that she's taken a leap of faith and having a baby on her own, see if you can tell what parts of this dream references that, and if the dream is encouraging or discouraging. So over to you, Sandy.
All righty. So the title of this one is Beautiful Mountain Retreat. And once again, it's from Laura. I was at a retreat in a beautiful wooded area in the mountains. I was walking through the neighborhood where the retreat was held, meeting people and socializing. It was a clear afternoon, sunny day. I was looking at the beautiful tall redwoods and breathing in the clean mountain air. And as I walked near the river, enjoying myself, I chatted with a man, woman, and a son who owned a cabin there. They were talking about how they owned the cabin for a long time and then added a room for their son. We were discussing how they afforded it and did the renovations. It was a beautiful home overlooking the river, and I enjoyed chatting with them. The wife told me that instead of traveling, all of their money went towards their home. I told her that I had been saving for retirement and was now using my extra money to save towards a home or cash for use when I needed it. She was kind, supportive, and encouraging. The son was around my age and very attractive. We were chatting and he showed me around their house. The retreat was a great time. I met open and interesting people from all over the world, and we really enjoyed it. Wow, Michael, that is an amazing dream.
So, can you see the parts that are really talking about her leap of faith? Or do you want me to point them out?
Well, point them out.
All right. So, we ignore the retreat and we ignore meeting people from all over the world. Kind of. The part where they're talking about how they owned the cabin for a long time and then added a room for their son. So, when we see a house and adding a room for a child to the house, it's not really about a building. It's really about making a home, making space to have a child. And this is the way the dream is extremely encouraging for what she's doing in her life right now. And she says it's a beautiful home overlooking the river. So it's going to match her spiritual view on life and everything like that. Really good. She's going to enjoy herself. It all has this lovely feel, lovely energy at this point in the dream. And then the woman says, I'm doing this, I'm putting my money, and money in a dream is about investing. Like I'm investing my time into developing a home or family, let's say, rather than traveling. So I asked her, did you travel a lot? And she said, yeah, it's my favorite thing to do. I've been everywhere. I've traveled everywhere. And she's lived in a lot of places, which was always interesting. But yeah, it's super encouraging, super on point with the rest of the dreams that she's had.
Wow, that's amazing. So the son being around her age, what is that?
Well, that is her still looking for a partner. So it's going to show up in all her dreams like, I want a life partner. And that's the way we're hardwired. We want that. We kind of need that in life. We want to have somebody that we can grow old with, that we can share the best things in life with. You know, it's not just about the journey on our own. And even when we think it is, there's usually reasons why we think that is. And there's some issues in the past that if we healed them, we would be happier to be with somebody who's fully supportive.
I like that she said, I met open and interesting people in her last line.
Yeah, but she did travel everywhere and she has. And that's one of the things she does love. She's able to meet people and be herself. Like she's very pro-America, but not in any crazy way. Just like she loves who she is. She doesn't lose her identity when she's around other people. And so she just soaks in other cultures and lets it enrich her, but, you know, in a really nice way.
Anyways, that was great. And we have April on next. So excited, April. Thank you for coming on. And I am looking forward to what your thoughts are and the dreams that you picked for this week.
Thanks, Sandy. Well, I've looked at about 4 dreams this week that were sent into the radio show. And today I want to cover one by a dreamer who I'm going to call Allie. She has sent in a few dreams that show that she has issues with the balance of her masculine energy. So I'm just going to look at one dream today and discuss that issue and what's coming up in this dream. So the dream starts out where she says, I was in a restaurant / bar with friends, and I think my husband was also there. Suddenly, my husband next to me started to play the piano, and I started to sing a popular song. Firstly, I was singing quietly and looking away from the other people, kind of embarrassed about what they might say of my singing. But then they started to join in, and we got louder and we kept singing popular songs. I was trying to get my best voice out. I was proud of my voice. I've always been worried that my voice was not that good, but I was proud of myself and it felt good in the dream. Okay, so that's the whole dream. This dream shows her in a restaurant or bar. So this is an issue that comes up for her that she is being asked to heal, and it affects how she shows up in social situations because she's in a restaurant and bar. And we see that her husband starts playing piano and she starts singing, which tells me that she is a channel and she's a really good channel. Her other dream that she sent in had really high ceilings, which tells me that she has a high level of awareness. So channeling is going to be a really important gift for her to develop. The issue that shows up in this dream, though, is that she says she's kind of embarrassed. And this is an issue that showed up in her other dream as well. So being embarrassed is a masculine energy issue, and the opposite of being embarrassed is confidence. So this dream is asking her to be confident and proud of her channeling ability and to put herself out there. Channeling requires a balance of masculine and feminine energy for the gift to work very well. And here we see the masculine energy has a little bit of a imbalance. So the guidance for her is to look at the source of where her embarrassment began early in childhood and heal herself at that point so that she can be proud of herself instead of holding back and feeling embarrassed in social situations where she should feel confident. So that's all that I have for today. Thank you. Back to you, Michael and Sandy.
What was that, April? I was going to feed the parking meter. If I get a parking ticket because I couldn't make it to the meter and back with that short stint, you're in trouble. You're paying the ticket. It's your fault, McFly. All right. That's our show for this week. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we will see you next week.
Have a good week. Bye.